Hello everyone, myself Uday Rajesh, Assistant Professor in Physics, GFGC Bettampadi, Dakshina Kannada. In this video lesson, we are going to learn about nuclear radiation detectors. Evolution of techniques of nuclear radiation detection has played the vital role in unraveling the mysteries of the atomic nucleus. The radiation coming out of the nucleus, such as alpha, beta, or gamma rays in spontaneous transformation, or various types of subatomic particles, both charged and uncharged, in induced transformation, are the signals which carry with them information about the properties of the nucleus. Hence, their detection and measurement are of the prime importance in understanding the structure of the nucleus. The sensitive instruments which have been developed for the purpose over the years thus act as our eyes and ears to probe the mysteries of the nucleus. All methods for detection of nuclear radiations are based on interactions of charged particles with the matter. As a result of this interaction, ions are produced and a reduction in energy is observed. In the field of nuclear instruments, nuclear detector is a device which converts the energy of the nuclear particle or radiation into a usable electric signal. An ideal detector would be able to differentiate between various types of radiation and particles and would give a signal which is proportional to their energy. The principles of nuclear radiation detection can be broadly classified into three categories. We will see one by one. First one, methods based on the detection of free charges. During the passage of an ionizing radiation through a medium, it may be solid, liquid or gas, both positive and negative ions are produced. These ions are collected by applying an electric field to get an idea about nature and energy of the particles caused ionization. The instruments based on this method are ionization chamber, proportional counters, Geiger-Müller counter, and semiconductor detectors. The second one, methods based on light sensing. This method is based on the fact that interaction of nuclear radiation with some matter results in the emission of light from the matter. The instruments based on this method include scintillation counter and Cherenkov detectors. Third one, methods based on the visualization of the tracks of the radiation. These are applicable for the detection of charged particles and include instruments like the Wilson cloud chamber, bubble chamber, etc. In this video, we are going to learn about two important radiation detectors. They are GM counter and semiconductor detectors. First, Geiger-Müller counter or GM counter. GM counter was developed by Hans Geiger and Walter Müller in 1928. Therefore, this counter is named as Geiger-Müller counter or GM counter. It consists of a cylindrical sealed glass tube of radius about 2 to 3 cm enclosing a coaxial metal cylinder C which serves as cathode. A very thin metal wire, usually of tungsten of diameter about 0.1 millimeter is stretched along the length of the axis of the cylinder and serves as anode A. Electrical connections are provided to anode and cathode by metallic leads sealed through the glass tube. Here this is battery. The negative of the battery is connected to the metallic chamber and the positive of the battery through a high resistor is connected to the metallic wire. Therefore, this metallic cylinder acts as a cathode and the tungsten wire act as anode. And this is the amplifier and the pulse counter. So whenever the current passes through this particular external circuit, the voltage pulse is recorded here and which is counted by this particular pulse counter. The tube is filled with inert gas like argon mixed with the vapor of some volatile compound like ethyl alcohol, which is a quenching agent in the ratio of 10:1 at a total pressure of about 10 centimeter of mercury. The potential difference between the anode and cathode of these tubes is usually around 1000 volts. Next, let us understand the working of Geiger-Müller counter. The ionizing radiation to be detected enters through the window W of the GM tube and it causes the ionization of the gas through the collisions with the gas molecules. Due to ionization, positive ions and electrons are produced. As these charged particles are subjected to an electric field inside the GM tube, they are attracted towards the respective electrode. That is, the electrons are attracted towards the central tungsten wire and the positive ions are attracted towards the cathode, that is metallic chamber. But when electron is accelerated by a very high potential difference, which is capable of producing further ionization when it collides with the other gas molecule. Thus, one more electron is released along with the first electron. These two electrons during acceleration causes ionization in two more gas molecules, producing two more electrons. The four electrons also, while accelerating, causes ionization in four more molecules and released electrons produce further ionization. This process progresses as a kind of chain reaction with producing an avalanche of electrons. This phenomenon is called Townsend avalanche because this phenomenon was first time studied in detail by J.S. Townsend. This avalanche spreads along the entire length of the anode and causes the discharge of the gas along the length of the anode. The released electrons are collected quickly, leaving positive ions behind, and the discharge stops when the buildup of positive charge near the wire reduces the electric field below the threshold level. The collected electrons pass through the external circuit, which causes a potential drop across the resistor R, and that produces a large pulse at the counter. Okay, next, GM characteristic. Just as we have diode and transistor characteristics which give the operating parameters, GM characteristics provide the operating voltage and conditions for maximum efficiency. If a GM counter tube is exposed to a source of constant radiation intensity and The rate of counting is recorded as a function of the applied voltage. A graph is obtained which is known as characteristic curve for the counter. The nature of such a characteristic curve is shown here in the figure. When the voltage is low, the output voltage pulses will be small and the associated circuit will not be able to record and count these pulses. So, unless the voltage V across the counter tube exceeds a minimum value Vs, which is known as a threshold voltage, no counts will be recorded. As the voltage is increased over Vs, the counting rate increases gradually and the output pulse size increases gradually until the point C is reached. From this point onwards, the counting rate becomes constant. C denotes the beginning of the Geiger region in which all the primary events produced in the counter are recorded irrespective of the energy. The flat region CD is known as plateau of the counter. After the plateau region, that is from D, for a small increase in the voltage, the count rate increases much rapidly. The voltage corresponding to the point D is called breakdown voltage. It is the optimum voltage above which one should not increase the potential. GM counter is operated in this plateau region. Therefore, for proper working of the GM counter, the applied voltage should be maintained in between the voltage corresponding to point C and point D. The GM plateau gives the operating voltage of a GM tube. If V1 and V2 are the voltages corresponding to the points C and D on the curve respectively, then the operating voltage is the average of V1 and V2. The nature of the plateau depends upon the filled gas in the counter. A good counter has a plateau extending over a range of 100 to 200 volts. In the construction of the GM tube, we have seen the counter gas is mixed with some trace amount of ethyl alcohol as a quenching agent. Here we will learn about the quenching action. In a GM tube, positive ions are migrate towards cathode, that is the walls of the tube. As they reach the cathode, they can catch an electron from the walls. In the process, the excess kinetic energy of the ion is liberated in the form of an ultraviolet photons. If the energy of the photon exceeds the work function of the metal used for the chamber, then an electron can be ejected from the metal surface by absorbing the photon through a process known as photoelectric effect, and that released electron can initiate another avalanche ionization. Therefore, repeated discharge of the gas takes place in the Geiger tube. This must be suppressed or quenched for the counter to operate properly. The method used to prevent this repeated discharge from taking place in the GM tube are called quenching. There are two types of quenching methods: internal quenching or self-quenching. The second one, external quenching or non-self quenching. In self-quenched type GM counter, quenching is achieved by the inclusion of small amount of vapors of organic compound such as methane, ethane or ethyl alcohol as a quenching agent, or small amount of halogen gases such as chlorine or bromine as a quenching agent. In the case of alcohol quenched tubes, during the travel of positive ions of both the counter gas atoms and the organic molecules towards the cathode, the argon ions are neutralized by collision with the neutral alcohol molecules, which become ionized in the process. This is because argon has higher ionization potential, 15.7 electron volt, compared to the ionization potential of ethyl alcohol, 11.3 electron volt. Thus, the positive ions which ultimately reach the cathode are mostly the alcohol ions. At cathode, alcohol ion takes an electron from the cathode and become a neutral molecule, but the molecule will be left in the excited state. It returns to the ground state with the release of energy. This energy dissociates ethyl alcohol molecule rather than liberating free electron. Thus, it prevents the emission of photoelectrons from the cathode to initiate a Geiger discharge. Due to dissociation of the alcohol molecules, the counter has a limited life. In halogen quenched counters, the halogen molecules dissociates into halogen atoms which again recombine. So, these counters have very long lives. In external quenched counters, repeated discharge of gas is prevented by the use of a very high resistance in the anode circuit. Okay, next we look at the sum of the advantages and disadvantages of the GM counter. If you look at the advantage, it is very sensitive to detect the ionizing radiation. It has a very long lifetime, especially halogen quenched counter. It is compact, portable and easy to use. In the GM counter, output pulse is high and independent of the energy of the particle detected in the counter. Next, some of the disadvantages. GM counter is not sensitive for a certain time interval between two successive counts. That time interval is called dead time, which is of the order of 200 microseconds. Hence, the detector is unsuitable for very fast counting. The GM counter can't provide the nature of the particle detected in the counter, and it also can't provide information regarding the energy of the particles detected. Next, the second detector we are going to learn in this video is a semiconductor detector. Semiconductor detectors are also called PN junction detectors. The first junction type detector was demonstrated by K.G. Mackay in the United States in the year 1949. In his demonstration, a collimated beam of alpha particles was allowed to fall on a PN germanium junction. He observed that the whole of energy of alpha particles absorbed in the PN junction was utilized in producing electron-hole pairs, and the average energy required to produce one electron-hole pair was about 3 electron volt, which is very small in comparison to about 35 million electron volt, that is the energy required to form an ion pair in a gas. In a PN junction detector, a thin layer of N-type is formed on the surface of P-type silicon or germanium. The electrons from N region and holes from P region diffuse into P and N region respectively across the junction, and the intermediate volume between the P region and N region will be cleared from both charge carriers, and this region is called the depletion region. It is depleted by both type of charge carriers. Here P region is connected to the negative terminal of the battery and N region is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, and this arrangement is called reverse biasing, and because of this the thickness of the depletion layer increases. If now a high energy charged particle is allowed to enter the depletion layer, electron hole pairs are generated in the depletion region. These created electrons and holes drift towards respective electrodes. These created electrons and holes in the depletion layer drift towards respective electrodes. That is, electrons will drift towards the positive side of the battery, and the holes will drift towards the negative terminal of the battery. Therefore, a momentary current flows through the external circuit which generates a voltage pulse across the load resistor R. Thus, semiconductor PN junction acts as a nuclear radiation detector. In semiconductor detector, the amplitude of the electrical pulse obtained at the output depends on the energy deposited by the incoming radiation within the depletion region. These are the books I have referred for the preparation of this lecture video. Thank you.